Welcome into another episode of Hot Takes and High Stakes. We're your hosts, Taylor and Austin. Today we're doing a fantasy rendition of our episodes, break down our top 10 passing posses, and dive in a little bit into the Hall of Fame game and our Hall of Fame snubs, as you would call it. How are you feeling after last night's first game back?
That was an incredible game. That was awesome. Absolutely excited. Carson Beck, I didn't see it. I knew he had a lot of experience, but yeah, he looked really good. He was phenomenal. And Haynes King,
man.
Bryce Young, you're one bad game away from being replaced, my friend. It might be a little overreaction. It is preseason, but no, it was a super exciting game. I enjoyed it. Enjoyed the hell out of it. Thought this was a great Hall of Fame class.
Yes.
Actually. Larry Fitzgerald's always been one of my favorites.
I think Adam Vinatieri definitely deserved the final call-in. One of the greatest kickers of all time. How do you feel about Luke Kuechly?
Luke Kuechly's, I'm glad he got in because I feel like always been overlooked just because of the team that he played on. I don't feel like he got the recognition he deserved, but as far as playing linebacker position, yeah, he was great to watch. He was phenomenal linebacker, and I'm glad he got in. I think he deserves it.
He only got about 7-8 years in the league, but in those 7-8 years, he amassed 7 Pro Bowls and 5 first-team All-Pros. Can you imagine if he had like the Ray Lewis longevity of career, how many All-Pros he would have been in?
Yeah, and he was on the field all the time, too.
Yeah, and
those are the Panthers. He was always on the field.
And there's no one that studied film better than him. He knew what was coming every single time. That was a fun one to see. Any names that you feel like deserve to get thrown in to the Hall of Fame?
There's a few. When I looked into this, personally, the first one for me, obviously is going to be Hines Ward. How he's not a Hall of Famer, I don't understand. That's one that's a major head scratcher for me. Steve Smith, see another one that I feel like absolutely deserves to be in. Not only was he a great receiver, but both of those guys, they were blockers as well. And they both laid everything out there for their teams that I just feel like both of those guys deserve to be in. And I'll throw out one more. My defensive name is Clay Matthews. I feel like Clay Matthews I know that a lot of people don't consider him a Hall of Famer, but I absolutely do. And he's just the energy that he brought to the game and just his pass rushing. He pretty much made the standing pass rusher like a thing in the NFL, like because of his athletic ability. Maybe I'm missing something, but it feels like I don't remember seeing the stand-up pass rush until Clay Matthews came to the league.
So you had Clay doing it. DeMarcus Ware was doing a lot of the standing up. Justin Houston also would like to do the stand-up rush. But yeah, he kind of did really make a name for himself. I think the back end of his career is kind of what is going to fault him for the Hall of Fame. I think if he was given the opportunity to play inside linebacker in Green Bay like he has asked before he was cut, they would have allowed him to play a little bit longer, and he was developing into a good inside linebacker. But
you think he's a Hall of Famer?
That's a tough one. I'm a big Clay fan. I loved Clay from the beginning to the end, but
I'm probably giving him an extra few too many style points just because of his hair.
The hair, yes.
Watching him wet it and whip it around and just be an absolute madman on the sideline, like, dude just brought so much energy.
Would be probably the prettiest bust in the Hall of Fame if they gave him one. With that square jawline and that long hair, probably would have been the most handsome bust in the Hall. But based off play, I do think that Clay maybe deserves his name on the ballot, but I don't know if he gets that full in. I think the NFL needs to be a little bit strict on the Hall of Fame, kind of like the baseball does, where
baseball's too strict.
I enjoy that. Maybe not.
Pete Rose is a Hall of Famer.
Yes, I will agree.
Pete Rose is a Hall of Famer.
We're not going to get into that, but yes, the all-time hits leader is a Hall of Famer. But no, I like how you mentioned that list. You have Steve Smith. I actually have Chad Johnson or Chad Ochocinco as my list.
I don't think Chad Ochocinco's in the Hall of Fame, but Chad Johnson is certainly in.
Yeah, but
one of my childhood favorites.
For eccentric personality, Chad Ochocinco deserves in the Hall of Fame.
You got to see a new touchdown celebration every week, and you knew you would see one because he scored a touchdown every freaking game.
Yeah. They'll double team him. They'll throw 3 guys on him. He was going to score.
He's amazing.
But I think that he got too big for his head.
Yeah.
But he still amassed 11,000 receiving yards, 776 catches. That's an incredible career. I also feel like Jason Witten deserves to be in there. 1,200 receptions, 13,000 receiving yards, and 74 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's up there with Antonio Gates, Tony Gonzalez. Like, he's just one of those tight ends that's unmatched. Yeah, he was so good for so long. I'm a big Jason Witten fan.
Every old school football player or football fan remembers the play against the Eagles where he took that catch off the right sideline. They took off his helmet and he kept running another 20 yards. That is true grit and toughness. That man deserves it. And then my final one is the obvious, Bill Belichick. I think we kind of got kicked him out because of the Spygate and the Deflategate and all that other stuff, which we kind of all saw him not getting in his first year because of that.
Winning's winning.
But exactly, the second all-time most wins with 333 wins, 6 Super Bowls as a head coach, 2 as a defensive coordinator, and one of the best dynasties in the sports history.
Yeah, Bill needs to be in, and he will get in. I'm certain eventually once all the drama that his girlfriend decides to date someone
close to her age. Yeah,
I think that he'll end up getting it.
Hey, good for Bill, man.
Best life.
Good for him.
Best life.
He doesn't give a shit about no Hall of Fame snub.
So jumping into these lists, I want to kind of give an explanation of where we were going with this. This isn't picking the offenses with the best fantasy players. Everyone knows who the top fantasy projections are. This is like a collaboration of, quarterback, running backs that catch out of the backfield, and wide receivers. This is a group ranking. This is how we pieced our list together, and I think we have a lot of variability between our two lists. So I think this is going to be really fun to talk about.
I don't know.
It's fantasy season. It's draft season, baby.
We're here. I don't know about you. I also threw a couple tight ends in the pass catching posses as well, just because there are some tight ends that you have to.
I consider tight ends a pass catcher.
But this is strictly no rushing. We're not talking any rushing ability whatsoever.
No rushing. Yep.
This is strictly fantasy PPR.
Posses, yes, and it is. We did go off of PPR projections, our projections. I threw a little bit of kind of what they did last year, career averages, things of that nature. So, yeah, should be an exciting list.
All right.
That being said, do you want to start with number 10?
All right. So, number 10, I'm going to go with probably my biggest shocker is the Packers. I do feel like they're overlooked. And I don't know. I really think Jordan Love is going to step up again. We got a healthy Christian Watson for a full season. You got Tucker Kraft coming back, being cleared to play for a full, hopefully healthy. Josh Jacobs is great out of the backfield.
Healthy Christian Watson for week 1.
When on the field, he's one of the highest rated PFF players.
He's so good. I want him on the field, man.
Yes.
He's electric.
He is a receiver 1 when he is on the field. It's just so far in his career, it's been keeping him on the field.
Well, what they've done in the offseason, I think it's been pretty obvious that he is going to be receiver 1.
Yes.
And I'm hoping for the Packers' sake that he can't stay healthy. One of my favorites. And
maybe an extension of Matthew Golden as well. Hopefully we can get a year 2 jump out of him. It was kind of exciting to see him score that touchdown against the Bears in the playoffs. I know it was a wasted touchdown, but it was still fun to see him get that off.
Yeah, as a Longhorns fan, I hate to see all the hate coming to I hate how many people are down on him already. Like how most receivers don't break out at least until their second to third year. At least. Like wide receiver's a hard position, and he didn't get all that many targets.
I think it's just because the recency bias of all of the receivers coming out and becoming rookie sensations like Justin Jefferson, Puka Nacua, just all those guys, Jamar Chase. It just seems like they come out and immediately are getting 1,400 yards. That's not the case for statistically over time. Receivers, like you're saying, need to develop.
Tucker Kraft catch. I mean, he's sure a pass catcher, and he'll turn it into a first down every time. I considered putting the Packers in my list. They didn't quite make it because of the only ones that I see are Christian Watson and Tucker Kraft, but I can see the case for putting them in for sure.
I also think Jaden Reed should get a little bit more
Packers because I also put my personal team in at number 10. I really had to go back and forth. I might just be a homer on this, but as far as this isn't so much what they've done in the past, because frankly, Arthur Smith's system was dog shit. Matt Canada's system was dog shit. And we've got so many good pass catchers on that offense. Just starting with the tight end position with Darnell Washington and Pat Freiermuth, they're both absolute machines. Pat Freiermuth doesn't drop the ball over the middle. We refused to throw it over the middle last year. Darnell Washington isn't made to catch a 3-yard out route.
I'm sorry. Don't you dare take this away from football fans. Us watching him take that 3-yard out route and then plow through a safety's face because he's 315 fucking pounds.
Twice a game. why is that guy not getting targeted every time you're in the red zone? Darnell Washington, that's why I'm going with the Steelers, putting them on this list, is I think the touchdown upside for Darnell Washington, I'm certain that Mike McCarthy is going to recognize how dominant we can be in the red zone, and the Steelers have sucked in the red zone. Absolutely sucked. And bringing in Michael Pittman Jr. to take a little bit of pressure, a little bit of attention of the defense off of DK, I think that the downfield attack for Pittsburgh is just going to be absolutely phenomenal. And I mean, DK didn't have a huge year last year with the Steelers, but when he does get the ball, it's a big play, but he's not someone that's running to the sideline, catching a ball, getting out of it. He's not that guy. He's a downfield threat, and
It's exactly. Yeah, DK didn't have the numbers that jumped off the stat book last year. However, when he was given the opportunities where he thrives on those deep 50-50 balls, where he's got the speed to beat the corner on the outside and then that strength to take the ball away, that's where he thrived. He doesn't thrive. Yeah, he's fast over the middle. That's great. But his size and everything does not make him a dump off underneath receiver like you're wanting him to be, like a slot style receiver. He needs to be that deep threat. I think Michael Pittman being great over the middle, sure, steady hands is really going to open that up. And Mike McCarthy has statistically loved throwing to the tight ends and having that safety net tight end. And if Rodgers and everyone can get on that right chemistry, everyone can be flowing and there's no animosity, I definitely think that they could be a top 10 team.
Yeah, and I mean, off 59 receptions, he still had 850 yards, and the scheme wasn't built for him to average 14.5 yards per reception. Like, the scheme wasn't built for that. That's just showing what an athlete he is. And the more I went down the depth chart, that's why I was like, I have to put him in, because you've got Jalen Warren, 40 receptions last year with 333 yards, 40 receptions for running back, phenomenal. And then they're bringing in Rico Dowdle, who's also 39 receptions and almost 300 yards.
I'm sorry. Put a little bit more respect on Barry Sanders 2.0.
Excuse me. Rico Barry Dowdle.
Exactly.
I am so glad for that pickup, and I think that's going to be a great fantasy option for people. Him or Jalen Warren, just because of the pass upside. Any PPR league, you've got to have those running backs that can make catches out of the backfield, and it's going to come down to if Rodgers can support it. We know he can do the little dump off passes to the running backs all day long.
Yeah.
And that's always going to be there for him, but I really want to see DK and Michael Pittman Jr. stretch the field.
I really feel for Jalen Warren. I mean, this man kind of stood behind in Najee's shadow for so long, and whenever he did touch the field on that random third down to drive, he would step up and make a block.
12 yards.
Exactly. Like, he would always do what was asked of him. But he always just seemed to get overlooked. And now they're bringing in Rico, which I feel like they're just going to ride him right off into that third down back again. I know a lot of teams that would take Jalen Warren as their starting running back right now.
It'd be interesting to see what they do with that.
Jumping into number 9, I have the reigning champ Seattle Seahawks. And the only reason why I have Seahawks at number 9 is I'm not sure about their backfield.
That's my number 9 as well.
Hey,
so we're aligned on that one. That's funny.
Are you? Yeah. So my issue purely is on the running back position. I think if we came into the season with Kenneth Walker coming back, I would put them more up in the top 5 for sure. But not having Jadarian Price get that feet on the ground.
I think he will have the pass catching ability, though. He didn't catch a lot, but if you look at his college stats, the catches that he did make out of the backfield went for extremely long yardage. I think he had like 3 or 4 receptions, but each of them went for like 20 plus yards. So when he does, he can get down the field. And I think if they can unlock that pass catching ability with him, I think it'll be a complete game changer. But with this receiving group, you have to put them on the list. JSN, obviously, there's not much that you have to say about him. 119 receptions last season and 1,700 yards. He could breach 2,000 yards in a season. And then you've got Raheed Shaheed, who's a speed demon. I'm big on him, and I think he can really help when JSN is getting that double coverage and just send him down the field. And
I feel like last year when they traded for him, I feel like they kind of didn't know how to use him the first couple of games, bringing him in. And then they slowly started to adapt to him a little bit more. And right when that season ended, right when they got it, I feel like they're finally finding that perfect position, that first perfect spot for him. I feel like this offseason is going to allow them to really take off. They have a lot of other no-name receivers that are also stepping up. Great tight end help. Sam Darnold, I think, is still underlooked. I feel like he has earned a spot on the top 10 quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, and we're forgetting to mention Cooper Kupp. The statistics aren't there, but in this offense, he's helping develop that receiver room. And I know this is fantasy focused, so I'm going to get there. But third down, that's where the ball is going because he runs the best routes. And in the red zone, he's going to score touchdowns this year with this team. I really see him getting at least, 6 or 7 touchdowns this season. So I think he's worth mentioning. But yeah, where you were going with Sam Darnold, it's just when will he get the respect that he's due? I'm so glad that he ended up winning a Super Bowl last year because that guy deserves it. And he's proven that he's been overlooked his whole career. That dude's great.
I want to apologize too, because right after he left New York, I thought this dude is ass. Just like every other New York quarterback that's came into the league, he's ass. And that's all he'll ever be. I am so glad to admit that I was wrong. He stepped up, he turned it around San Fran, went to Minnesota, gave them one of their best seasons they've had in recent history, and then took the next team to the Super Bowl. Like, you can't write a better story for a guy. Overall, how else are you feeling on the Seahawks? Do you have anything else you want to add? Any other players you want to add?
No, the receiver room alone is what put him on my list. I think just between Darnold, Rashid Shaheed, and JSN, I think your fantasy value there for more. JSN's obviously a first round guy, but Rashid Shaheed and Sam Darnold, those are the guys that I feel like they still don't get as much attention, and those can be draft steals for you as far as fantasy goes.
Comfortably, where would you take Rashid Shaheed? If you saw him available, where's the line where it's like you can't skip him anymore?
He's a 4th round, I would say at the best. If you can get him, if he's there in 5, 6, I think you got to grab him. They don't have a lot of other options of where they can go with the ball. So I think he'll get enough volume. I'm not taking him in the 3rd round, but 4th or 5th, I think he's a good option.
I think if given the right position, he could give you 3rd round potential statistics and performance.
And next year we might be treating that a little differently. He's still got plenty of time in the league.
Yes.
He's never really had a good fit for him. And I think Seattle will use his speed to their advantage, and they'll start to find ways to scheme things around him because JSN's just going to get more and more attention because the guy's so damn good.
I want to see Shaheed take more punts back and kicks back too. He needs to be back on those. I don't know why he's not on every single kickoff, but that speed in an open space, that would be ideal for that guy. Jumping in number 8, who do you have for your 8th position?
Okay, number 8, the Atlanta Falcons. The reason I went there is you've got one of the best running backs catching out of the backfield, one of the best tight ends, if it's schemed right. I think he's got all the potential in the world, and Drake London. And I know you're looking at me with your head cocked to the side, Kyle Pitts. I've always been a hater, but we did start to see a little glimpse of that success that we were expecting out of him last season, and I think they're going to build off of that. So between Drake London, Bijan, and Kyle Pitts, I think his team needs to be on this list.
So you're telling me that Kyle Pitts has upgraded his usage to his value more than the dog shit on the bottom of your shoe.
I may have said that. But yeah, 88 receptions last year, 928 yards. Like,
we're finally seeing this guy that we've all wanted to see since he came in the league.
I can admit when I'm wrong, and he's proving himself. That's why they're on my list. So this is going to come down to, is this Tua's rebirth? And the reason I think that it will be, and that he's coming into a system that's a lot simpler, and he's going to be a lot more capable running this offense. Mike McDaniels needs a super intelligent quarterback, and his offense is too complex. And Tua's got too many brain injuries.
It worked when he first came in the league, but
it did. But yeah, like there was a huge regression, and I think with being able to rely on Bijan and knowing that if the plays broke down, you can dump it to Bijan and you might turn into 60 yards. I think that's going to help Tua a ton. It'll come down to if this offensive line can help provide the blocking that he needs. But I mean, Drake London was just shy of 1,000-yard season. He's got a lot of upside. The Falcons are going to surprise some people this year. Their defense is still on a lot of question marks for me, but they're mid-grade. They can be a competitive team.
Their defense is going through some issues between torn ACLs on one side of the edge to legal issues on the other side.
Yeah.
It's defense, that's a different story. But offense, I'm curious that you're putting them there. The fact that we don't know who their starting quarterback is going to be.
It's
You think it's going to be Tua?
either way. I'm not completely out on Michael Penix, because Michael Penix, when it comes down to game time action, he's a baller. Like, Michael Penix has potential and can do well. It's just his injury history has plagued him, and that was most of his college career as well. And when he does get healthy, he can be a top performing quarterback. And he did that the last year that he was at Washington. He was great.
National champion. Led him right to the national championship.
Championship, yes. Yes.
So he has the potential, but like you're saying, the injuries is concerning there. Tua, I'm concerned with. Frankly, I'm concerned if he's able to regain the player that we once saw for a while ago. Because at one point we saw Tua was one of the best players in the draft in 2020. Tua was incredible, right behind Joe Burrow. But these past couple of years, the injuries and everything have really put a downhill on him. He does have a good safety net with Bijan in the backfield, Kyle Pitts on the tight end, Drake London. But I'm just concerned if the longevity is going to last for him.
And it's a risk putting him on there, but that's why I didn't put a quarterback on this list. Either way, whichever one of the two that it is, this offense can go make plays. You just got to have somebody that can put the ball up in decent position. So who do you got at 8?
All right. Number 8, I have the Arizona Cardinals.
Okay.
I truly think that I'm not just saying this after watching the Hall of Fame game where we saw future Hall of Famer Carson Beck take the field, but I truly think that they have a lot of talent surrounding the quarterback position. If Jacoby Brissett can prove that he was worth the contract extension, Jeremiah Love could get a good rookie year. We have Michael Wilson, who had a good hot streak last year. Marvin Harrison Jr. is not going to have to take the full heat on him anymore with Michael Harris coming in. And then we also have obviously one of the best tight ends in the league, Trey McBride. It's a ton of talent surrounding him.
So I actually have the Cardinals at number 6. And
okay, so you like a little bit more of them.
I do. And yes, you were just getting into Trey McBride. And last year, Trey McBride had 126 receptions and 1,200 receiving yards. But Jacoby Brissett, he'll absolutely be the starter. And now maybe Carson Beck does see his way onto the field, but I'm not going to knock Jacoby Brissett. Like, we all laughed when he was their starting quarterback. Like, I was certainly a doubter, but he threw for 315 completions last season, and he passed for 3,300 passing yards last year. That's absolutely incredible. 23 touchdowns. Like,
with the offense that they had,
with
the offensive line,
terrible offensive line, injury-ridden wide receiver group. Michael Wilson had phenomenal 1,000-yard receiving season. I did not see that coming. Marvin Harrison Jr. not lived up to his potential. He has fought injuries. He's a little lazy. I would like to see him. He'll get his head on straight, and he still has a ton of upside, and that's why they're on my list, and I've got him at number 6.
I think at this point, Michael Harrison Jr. is paying for a second contract. He doesn't have long left on his rookie deal. They have decided about picking up his 5th-year option. And at this point, if you're the Cardinals GM, would you pick up his 5th-year option?
Based on what I've seen, no. So he's got to prove himself, and that's why they're on my list as high as they are. And I put him on here initially, and the more I looked at this as a collective group, like we said we were doing, I just had to keep moving him further towards the top.
Yeah, the skill and the talent on paper is there. We just need to be able to see it in real life. And I know everyone's hating on the Cardinals, but we both
absolutely.
I think they're going to surprise a lot of people. And last night showed that they are here to fight. And their backups put up a hell of a fight in that game. So
jumping in at number 7 is going to be the New York Giants. And reason being, this is a smaller group as well, but where we are looking at passing fantasy value, once Malik Neighbors does find his way to the field with Jackson Dart being able to extend plays the way that he can, I think that that's just a great tandem. I think that's absolutely great. Scadaboo's going to be back. I mean, Scadaboo I think he played 8 games in that time frame. He had 24 receptions for 200 yards. He averages just over 8.5 yards per reception. That's great PPR value. I mean, he's going to catch the ball and he's going to take it for yards after the catch, regardless of where he catches the ball. And then Malik Neighbors is an absolute all-star. Unfortunately, he's super short, only played 4 games last year. And I mean, wasn't great output, but I know what he's capable of, and I'm big on him this year making a little bit late season push. I think he's going to be one of those fantasy guys that kind of slips a little bit later, and I think if you're smart enough to grab him by week 5 or 6, you're going to be glad you did.
See, I would even say at this point, I would pick up Neighbors in maybe in the 4th round, 5th round. That is a player that once he comes in, gets that speed under his belt and gets that comfortability back under and that confidence on his knee, this dude could make some fucking splash.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with Cam out of the backfield. Theo Johnson is a tight end. Like there's a lot of talent here that I think could go really, really well.
And just for what Jackson Dart had left to survive with, I mean, he still only threw 5 interceptions last year, 15 touchdowns, being thrown in the deep end as a rookie. Coach was on the chopping block. Like they weren't a great team, but the dude just went out there and had fun and played football, and he makes plays.
Yeah.
Like if he gets a good pass catcher with his ability to extend plays, that's all the fantasy value in the world. I didn't even mention Darnell Mooney. I didn't mention. That's why they were on my list. Where you at number 7?
7, I actually went with the Minnesota Vikings. I know quarterback back into that is kind of an iffy situation.
That's why they didn't make my list.
You give Justin Jefferson a mediocre quarterback at best. Jordan Addison, you have Aaron Jones catching out of the backfield, and then occasionally every couple of weeks you get TJ Hawkinson going off for a couple touchdown game. There's a lot of potential there. And I think Kyler's got to be the starter, right? And if Kyler's in there, he can feel comfortable in the system that Kevin O'Connell will put him in. This team could make a lot of impressive moves. But I think it's all going to.
So before we jump into number 6, I feel dumb because I completely looked over this in my notes when we were talking about the Giants. Darnell Mooney. I don't know how I overlooked this because this is absolutely why I put them on my list, not just Malik Neighbors alone and Cam Scatterbo, but bringing in Darnell Mooney, who's just an all-around good wide receiver. He ended up with 32 receptions, 400 yards. He, not a breakout season, but with the limited pass catchers that they do have in New York, I think that he's going to have a lot more volume than he's used to seeing, and he does have those moments. And for him, it was just very sporadic, but I think a lot of that was scheme, and that was, going back years playing for Arthur Smith. I don't think he got the recognition that he needed. I don't think he got quite the volume, and it wasn't schemed for him. So I wanted to throw that in there before we move too far ahead. So that being said, let's head into your number 6.
My number 6, I went with
Bucks are on my list. Bucks are my number 5.
Okay, so we're pretty close there.
Perfect.
This one, it just seems like this whole offense is made to pass. Bucky is a good running back, but he thrives catching the ball out of the backfield. Baker, obviously a strong arm quarterback who loves taking those deep shots. Emeka Buka showed that he could be a top tier receiver the first couple of weeks last year before getting that hamstring injury. And then we have Chris Godwin, who, when healthy, is electric.
When he's healthy, he's so good. Yeah, and that was it. He injury ridden. Bucky Irving, like you said, great pass catcher, and we are talking PPR here, but the big reason that I added them to this list was that I think this is the best backfield pass catching duo between him and Kenneth Gainwell. Kenneth Gainwell had 73 receptions last season.
Isn't that insane?
He was Pittsburgh's leading receiver. So that's why when I was looking through depth charts and I saw him, I was like, this team has to be on my list, and it's because of their pass catching out of the backfield. We didn't mention Tez Johnson. He showed a lot of potential between Emeka Buka, Chris Godwin, and Tez Johnson. Like this,
there's a couple good games
There's no need for them to even try to run the ball.
No.
They've got so many good pass catchers, and Gainwell can run decently out of the backfield. Same with Bucky Irving, but it's just I'm excited to see what this team can draw up with Baker as far as passing out of the backfield goes. I think there's great options there, and fantasy value for PPR is huge.
I just like to think about like running both of Gainwell and split back shots.
If you did split back passing situations,
can you imagine having like those choice route screen passes as a D tackle? You see both Gainwell and Bucky Irving going out for a pass. Who do you fucking defend? You can't choose a correct decision there. Like you're going to get burned either way. And that's if Emeka Buka or Tez Johnson hasn't somehow made it past the safety. I think they should not run the ball more than maybe 150 times this whole season. There should be only passes. 1st and 10, pass. Well, since number 6 for you was the Cardinals,
5 was the Bucks,
5
so
was the Bucks.
number
my
5's
number
you.
5 is the Bills.
Bills are not on my list.
I think that James Cook is very underrated catching the ball. He was it was nice to see him catch more balls last year than he has in his career. Josh Allen really kind of leaned on him on those screen passes, those dump offs. I like the 1-2 punch on tight ends they got with Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid. The DJ Moore signing was probably one of my favorite receiver signings.
That's a good pickup. Really good
That's
pickup.
going to give Josh Allen that receiver that he finally could state. He had all the tools that he needs to succeed in this league. He just needs to get his head out of his ass.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but the DJ Moore edition, that I did kind of overlook that, and they got the Bears had to move on from wide receiver because holy shit, they've got pass catchers galore. Like, I don't know what you do with 6 good wide receivers. So
I truly think that this could be a great passing offense. Allow Josh to sit back in the pocket and not have to run for his life every time he gets the damn ball.
Yeah.
Jumping into number 4, who do you have?
Number 4 for me is the Los Angeles Rams. And reason being, obviously, Puka on there, Kyron Williams, Devontae Adams, and Stafford, who does not seem to regress with age, was one of the first people to write off Stafford last year. And he had just an amazing passing season last year, 4,700 passing yards. But Devontae Adams, he's just going to continue to be a touchdown machine.
Yeah.
And Kyron Williams alone, I think, is a little overlooked as far as his pass potential. I mean, 36 receptions, that's good. But Puka and his downfield ability, 1,700 receiving yards last year.
Missed a couple games too.
And still, yeah, only played 16 games. So to have 1,700 yards, 129 receptions off 16 games, that's great. So that's why they're ranked as high for me as they are. And I think you can't go wrong as far as fantasy value goes for any of these guys. I mean, Puka's obviously, to me, he's a top 5 pick. I think he has to go in your first 5.
I would even put him top 3, honestly.
And that's not going to fault you. I mean, if you see running back value in the second round, take Puka in the top 3. Like there's a lot of different situations. If you're in a 10-man league, like there's going to be value in the second round, and I can see taking
Puka is a PPR god.
Yep.
129 catches. That is incredible. With the receiver help, and they run 12 personnel a ton. I actually have the Rams further up on my list. I love the Rams outlook.
Where do you have the Rams at?
I actually have the Rams at number 3.
Okay. So where are you sitting with number 4?
Number 4, I actually have the Cowboys.
Okay.
So I got Dak Prescott, Devontae Williams. I'm going to throw out Jake Ferguson. I think he's a good tight end. I wouldn't say he's going to jump off the charts with you, but then you have the obvious CD and George Pickens.
Well, that's I feel like I've been robbed because that was my number 1 on this list.
It's easy to understand. Devontae catches the ball in the backfield so well.
There's so many pass catchers, and Dak 4,500 passing yards, and that's because of George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, and that's why I've got them at number 1 personally. George Pickens 93 receptions, 1,400 yards. CeeDee Lamb had 75 receptions with over 1,000 yards, and then Javonte Williams, if he's healthy, he's going to play every game. I see him breaching 40 plus receptions. He still had 35 receptions last season. So
and still got 1,000 yards rushing. I know we're not talking rushing, but to throw that 35 catches in with the 1,000-yard rushing, with the passing offense this team had, dude, this is a fantasy dream on this offense.
Yeah, absolutely. Just pass catchers all over. That's why I had him at number 1. So jumping in at my number 3 is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals. And
you just robbed me with my number.
They've got to be on your list, and I figured they were coming. I knew they were going to be in your top 3. And Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, I don't think I need to sell anyone on their pass catching ability. Both pushing that 1,000-yard mark. Jamar Chase still had 1,400 yards. T. Higgins played 15 games, and he still had 800 receiving yards.
That's what Joe Burrow for only 9 games, too.
Chase Brown, I think they forgot that he was on the team until week 10, and the dude still ended up with 69 receptions.
He went off that last couple of games. went incredibly off, which he deserved it. He was there every single game. They just would not give him the touches that he needed.
Another great pass catcher out of the backfield. And another one just that I kind of added in there when we talk about these injuries is Andre Iosivas. He kind of filled that role when either Jamar or T was out, and he was an absolute playmaker when he was in. I mean, statistically, not the best, but he was a playmaker. I was impressed with how he fit in, so I think that they'll use him pretty heavily in that slot if those two main guys are on the field. And then healthy Joe Burrow, who knows if he stays healthy. But that offensive line, I still have a lot of concerns. But with the amount of playmakers downfield, if Joe can get the ball off, you're talking fantasy points all day long.
And that's why they're Gesicki. He's going to go out there and get you those needed points week in and week out with a healthy quarterback play. When Burrow was gone, you saw Gesicki just disappear off the stat line. The second Burrow came back, when Gesicki was on the field, he was getting those important deep catches. He was those important fourth quarter first downs, all that stuff. So yeah, that's why I had them my number one. Who's your number two? So number three for me is the Rams. Kind of already broke that one down. That one's self-explanatory.
Yep. Don't need to go into that again. Okay, my number two is going to be the Denver Broncos.
Really?
And reason being is these guys were the dink and dump masters last season. And I can't hammer this PPR enough, but you had 74 receptions and 1,000 yards for Cortland Sutton. You had another 47 receptions from RJ Harvey. J.K. Dobbins had another 11 receptions. But the big addition before I get to Troy Franklin was Jalen Waddle coming in. And Jalen Waddle is going to give them what they don't have, and that's that downfield ability. I think that's going to give Bo Nix some confidence to throw the ball down the field or across the middle. And Jalen Waddle fits that role perfectly. Troy Franklin did a good job of doing that, and he's still going to be a very valuable late round pickup for a team like this. But Jalen Waddle paired with Cortland Sutton, I think the fantasy upside on this offense is going to be very comparable to any of these other teams we've mentioned. They're not going to be as good as the Cowboys, but they can be up there with
The Bengals.
the Bengals,
I could see
like the Cardinal. I'm hesitant to say it because I know we haven't seen it just yet, but the way that I'm seeing this offense pieced together, I think they're going to really stretch the field a lot more. They're going to explore the middle of the field a lot more. And we didn't see that. We saw little dump and dink, but that was Sean Payton knowing how to play a rookie quarterback. Safe, keeping it safe, letting him do what he's comfortable with. And I think Bo Nix is just going to get better and better, and adding Jalen Waddle to this passing attack is going to be huge fantasy upside.
I actually didn't have Broncos on my list strictly because I don't know what's going on with Bo Nix's ankle injury. How I know we're told that it's simple procedure, everything's going to be fine, but the backfield receiving is also a concern of mine. JK only got 15, 16 catches this last year.
He had 11.
RJ Harvey got about 35, 36 catches.
RJ Harvey needs to take the lead role.
He has to.
That's why I have them on this list. RJ Harvey's going to take that lead role, and that dude, he can catch out of the backfield, and he's a better rusher.
If he can
Stop messing around with J.K. Dobbins. Love him, but getting a little older, not as great. I mean, for a running back, he's still got some years left, but like RJ Harvey outperformed him every time he was on the field.
So watching football, J.K. Dobbins is 27 years old. He's been in the league about 6 years. Can you legit tell me a full season you watched J.K. Dobbins from beginning to end truly thrived as a running back?
But no, there were moments. There were just moments. A lot like Darnell Mooney, like I had mentioned, like he had those moments that you remember, but you don't ever remember a good complete season out of him.
But it's like by the year if they use him correctly. That dude's speed on the outside, given like you're saying, the Broncos an offensive weapon that they have not had in years. They have not had true speed on the outside. Even dating back to the Peyton Manning years, Demaryius Thomas is not going to take the edge off the outside. He was not the speed guy. They didn't have that with Cortland Sutton. He's not known for his speed. This is the first true speed guy with sure hands that they had, and this could be a fun offense. But I didn't put him on.
Well, due to the variability we had, not really much of a countdown since neither one of us have a number one to talk now.
I do have one more that didn't get mentioned. I have number two.
Honorable mention?
My number two.
I apologize.
Detroit Lions.
Okay.
I'm surprised you didn't have them on their list.
I don't. And I that was probably a mistake on my part now that you mention it, but this was not easy to build.
No.
There was a
No, this is a lot harder than it
I did a
sounds.
lot of arguing with myself, and I thought this would be an easy assignment that we gave each other, and this is one of the roughest weeks that I had. Like, I put a lot of work into doing this, and there was a lot of speculation. I started at all 32 depth charts and went through it, and I somehow overlooked it. And that's Amon-Ra, obviously, Jameson Williams. If they can prove to me that they're going to use him, I'm sold.
If Jameson Williams gets used to the correct way, this new offensive coordinator can step up and put him in a position to succeed. You already have Amon-Ra, who's going to get 12 catches a game. Jameer, who's going to get 8-9 catches a game, go for 120 yards.
And that was my question. Are they just going to run the piss out of Jahmyr Gibbs, or are they going to utilize him in the
You
passing
have
game?
Sam Laporte, Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Isaac Tesla, who came off last year with those incredible touchdown catches. This team has so much
They do.
potential.
Now that you say that, I fucked up, but I'm not willing to move any of these teams
No,
that I
but
argued
that's the
for off of
hardest
here.
part.
That's why it's so. Yeah, that's a really good addition, and I understand why you have them so low, and I'm kicking myself for not having them somewhere on my list, but I have a hard time booting any of these teams off my list.
And yeah, there was a lot of teams that I didn't like cutting off this list. Like you mentioned the Steelers earlier. I love their offensive positions, but I feel like, honestly, with the Lions having a full healthy season last year, that has killed them. Is the injuries just everywhere last year. If they have a full healthy season, they could get close to pushing those historic offensive numbers that they had a couple years ago. I don't know if they'll break them like they have, because Ben Johnson's, his mind is truly one of unmatched, but there's a lot of talent here. And if Jared Goff can get the ball into the right place, they're not going to kill Jahmyr Gibbs by running him to death. This guy's.
Any closing thoughts from this episode or NFL thoughts this week before we
are
shut
back.
it down?
We got football again. I know we got another week until about next Thursday until we can watch some more football. But man, if we have any indication
Pittsburgh,
of
Green Bay.
what this season's going to be like, let's look
Pittsburgh,
at
Green Bay. I'm not betting on preseason.
I'm betting on preseason. Your boys 1 for 1 on parlays
That's
on
true.
the season.
That's true. That's what I'm talking about. Way to start the season, man. I was too chicken shit to try to bet on preseason, and you hit an absolute ringer.
It's nice to actually be able to bet on the only sport that's worth betting on. Trying to bet on baseball the past couple months.
Baseball's killed my confidence, and that's probably why I was too hesitant to jump in on preseason. Baseball's obliterated me.
There's a few things you can count on in life, and you can count on the Panthers upsetting pretty much 9 times out of 10. We are so close.
All right, well, that wraps us up. Thank you for joining us on Hot Takes and High Stakes. It's been brought to you by Press Coverage Sports Media. Have a good weekend.